Hey, so you get Epic Bedhead today. It's very exciting. Check that out. It's not as good as it was when it was a little bit shorter, but we take what we can get. Um, yeah, so I went skiing yesterday. At first of all, Tasha was telling me it's going to be fucking cold. Um, right, because Tasha went once before and she was like, "You're going to freeze." Um, so I added more layers than I otherwise would have. What I didn't realize is that Tasha doesn't wear a lot of layers. So, uh, yeah, I was wearing a lot of layers. And the bus on the way there was miserable. It was heated and it was the worst. I was wearing fleece leggings and the most amazing sweatpants that they have here. They're like, those fuzzy socks? It's like that, but really, really thick on the inside of a pair of sweatpants. And then pajama pants and then jeans. And two pairs of socks with those stick-on heat things between the layers to heat my feet. Although I did only put those on once I got the ski boots. And a camisole shirt and the really ugly thermal white turtleneck that our principal bought us to wear as a semi-uniform. I don't know. For fancy but not very fancy events. And then another shirt, just a long sleeve shirt on top of that, and then a hoodie and a jacket. And this was a lot of clothing. So we got there and then we rented snow pants, which was actually a good idea. It was like $12 to rent them for the day, but on the other hand, they were very necessary. It kept my butt dry. It was good. So then you put on the boots, which are the bottoms of them. They aren't really designed for walking. They're designed to clip into the skis, which is something they do very well. But in the meantime, it means that it makes walking difficult. And then you put the skis on and you have skis on your feet, literally, just like that's what you have on your feet. And until you've sorted it out, which I still only kind of have, walking is very difficult because you have no traction, which is the point, that you have no traction. But also, you have these long sticks on your feet that if you accidentally cross them, so like if your right ski is on top of your left ski, then you can't move your left foot until you've moved your right foot. And if you've shifted your weight to your right foot with the intent of moving your left foot, you have fallen over. I fell over once. They took me down the bunny hill a couple times, which was the first bunny hill. There were 3 bunny hills on this. One that was so shallow, they didn't even have a lift up, and they were just like walk up, come back down, walk up, come back down. I think it was for practice snowboarding. And then the other bunny hills were at times really, really shallow. Like I had my skis pointed probably at a 45-degree angle to straight downhill. And wasn't going anywhere because it was shallow enough. But on the other hand, sometimes you go whoosh and you're like all the way down the hill. I perfected my yell, which let people know effectively, despite a language barrier, that I couldn't steer yet, and they should probably get out of my way or it would end badly. So once at the bottom of one of those hills, I fell, just sort of standing. But then I got back up, although it did take one of my skis off. But I did manage to clip it back on. So then we went on the quote baby hill a bunch. The baby hill, the green slope, was a reasonably easy slope. It was, you look at it, it's a little scary, your first time, but it was okay. Now what they actually had was the dangerous one, the double black diamond or whatever. We didn't even touch that. The intermediate one, which was, I think the baby one was called the rabbit slope, and this one was called the dragon slope, and was blue as opposed to the green of the bunny trail. It was sort of a long set of 5, 6 switchbacks, like where it went back and forth and back and forth. And then the last length of it was the bunny trail, the rabbit trail. So after a bit, Tasha doesn't like steep mountains, apparently, which I didn't realize when I said we should do it, because she was saying she wants to not spend all day on the bunny trails. And then I got the hang of it, and I was like, all right, let's do the intermediate one. And she was like, wait, no, I didn't mean it. So we did. We went up there. And I hadn't realized quite how high it was when I agreed to it. We're going on the lift, and I'm like, oh, we're on a mountain. We're all the way up a mountain. Right. Okay. The first bit is the steepest, because I guess if you're planning, each turnaround, like each landing, we chose to stop and rest. But if you're planning on going all the way down, you need that first steep push, I guess, sort of, to let you go all the way down. The first one, we panicked but made it. The second and third were also okay. Tasha fell once when she crashed into somebody, but they were all fine. The snowboarders are, I guess, falling for them is a lot easier than for us, because they sort of just sit down hard. Although it's not so hard, because they're wearing 12 layers and there's snow. So very frequently, snowboarders were good at deliberately falling to avoid hitting us. It was very kind of them. I did appreciate that. So then there was one bit that it turns out it said chunchunhi, which means go slowly, but I didn't know that, and I didn't choose to read it because it was words in Korean, so I ignored it as I zipped past it, and then had no good place to land, like to sort of stop, that wasn't people. So I chose to hurl myself at the fence. Now, the fence is actually a series of poles. Some of them are hollow plastic and fall over if you, like, breathe on them hard, I think. So that wasn't a problem. And some of them are presumably metal, but really, really padded. Like, it's designed for you to slam into them, and then stretched between it is netting. So throwing myself at the netting was not the stupidest decision I've ever made. So I did. I hurled myself at the netting, and I need to make a video for you of what Tasha said it looked like. She hasn't told me yet how it looked. Tore 3 buttons off of my coat, which were all sewn onto this, like, long ribbon. So, like, they were on there. And I said, what is this? Oh, this is my button. Oh, this is also my button. My skis were gone. I was on the other side of the net. 4 sections of the net had come down. It was... And as soon as I, like, caught myself, my glasses were fine, which is actually kind of really exciting. As were my sunglasses. As soon as I, like, looked at her, and Tasha was, like, making her way slowly down the hill, and she saw it was fine, she was, like, laughing hysterically. Like, I plowed along the fence. I took out sections of the fence. Strangers came over to help me because they thought there was a possibility I might have died. I was totally fine. In fact, while there are parts of me that hurt right now, the parts of me that hurt are from the repeated effort of the skiing and certain parts of the skiing. For example, my wrists hurt from leaning on the poles, my shins hurt from the boots, whatever. But not from that. That was amazing. It was incredible. So I recombobulated myself, and I was like, how do I tell them I broke the fence? Like, and a huge section of it was just, like, collapsed. Which, it goes up very easily, too, I'm sure. But also, I feel like I ripped it, and I'm like, what do I do? And then comes a patrol guy with, like, a drill and more tubing. And I was like, oh, I think they have cameras, and they know when somebody fucked up. So they fixed the fence, and we did it. We made it all the way down. And my goal for the second time, it wasn't to not fall. We did go up the intermediate a second time. Then we both felt a little more confident about it. Tasha told me that it said go slowly on this part. I was like, oh, okay. And my only goal was to not knock over the same section of fence, only because I would have felt really bad for the guy if he had fixed it and then the same